the Scoville Zoo has events coming up, free admission on Mondays in April, and of course, animals. Joining me now is Zoo Director Heather Purdeu, and I see you have brought along a fluffy friend.
I did. I brought Loki, one of our rabbits. His brother Thor is back at the zoo, so I only brought Loki today. But you can see, looking at him just by his color pattern, we know he's a Dutch rabbit, and they get that name just from the color pattern, you know, the black, or it can be brown or gray bottom, and then always the white around the chest and the nose and the face. And Dutch rabbits are really nice to use for a lot of our programs that we can take off site because they weigh around 4 to 5 pounds. Okay. So he's definitely tractable, and he's going to be 4 years old in May. So he's still a fairly young guy. They can live to be about 8 to 10 years in human care. And again, we use him for a lot of our programs. We use him a lot, kind of letting kids know. We do a lot of, you know, what's a great pet and what's maybe not such a great pet. And, you know, rabbits are bred for pets. You might see them in pet stores, and they can be a really good pet for those who do the research. We always ask people to do the research before they get a new pet.
Because they're high maintenance, right?
Yes, they are high maintenance, and, you know, they would eat rabbit pellets and a lot of hay, and, you know, sometimes a little bit of vegetables. You know, a lot of people think that maybe just carrots and lettuce all day long, but that's not really a balanced diet for them. But obviously you want to include that in their diet, and they need a lot of space to move around. And so you can have, you know, cages where they kind of hang out, or hutches, but then they do like to run around. And these guys, even at the zoo, we give them larger spaces so they can kind of kick up their heels, so to speak. And they are, a lot of times they will use a litter pan if you provide that.
Right, so you can train them to litter box. You can also have them free range in your home, right? And then how does reproduction work with these? Because I know, like, rabbits, sometimes there are lots of rabbits if you have one rabbit. So how does that work?
Yeah, they kind of have a reputation.
Yes.
And part of that reputation is they have a very short gestation, or time when they're pregnant. So it's only 30 days.
Gotcha.
And they can immediately get pregnant a day later. So if you have a pair of rabbits and you want to have maybe one litter, that is fine, but you need to remove the male from the female. And they can have up to 12 to 16 at a time, although it's probably more common to have 6 to 7 in a litter.
Right, and I feel like you brought this rabbit strategically for April because you have some specific bunny-related events coming up this month.
Exactly. This upcoming weekend is Easter, and obviously people think of the Easter bunny. And so I brought Loki here. We have our egg hunt on Saturday. We're hoping that we have dry weather for it, and we do. We have Easter egg hunt. It's usually a very popular event. It's a free event, and we have a heat starting at 1:20, which is one is for special needs. All our friends with special needs, any age, can come and do that one. And then we have hunts at 1:40, 1:55, and 2:10. And again, they're free. You just can show up. And then the zoo that day is $3 admission for everybody coming in.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then also you're having free admissions on Mondays, right? How does that work?
Yes. In April, again, that's for any age. You could just come into the zoo. We've had some groups come in, and that is fine as well. And it is free admission there. You know, if you want to purchase train or carousel, you're welcome. We also have our concession open, and they've been very popular. We had over 1,300 just yesterday.
Oh,
so for
goodness.
our free Monday this in April, and then starting in June, we will have free days start on Thursdays.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we don't have a free day in May, but we have so many school groups that are coming into the zoo. It's just hard to accommodate, you know, free admission and all the school groups. So, but yeah, free Mondays in April.
That makes sense. And so if you want a field trip, May seems to be field trip month.
Yes, it is. And we've been booking a lot of those now, as I'm sure the Children's Museum has as well.
Right.
So, and they're right next door. So if you book with them, you can book with us as well. And we have a lot of schools that do that.
And I love that you can kind of go back and forth, because I didn't realize that it was so close.
Yeah, you can make it a day for the kiddos.
Yes. Well, going back to fun rabbit facts, I have so many more questions about rabbit care. How long do they live? You mentioned how big they get, but how long do they live for?
They can live usually around 8 to 10 years. And so, like I said, he's going to be 4, so he's still fairly young. And again, there's all different breeds that you can have for pets. Dutch is just a very popular one, and some people use them for show rabbits too. And so you can go to rabbit shows and see all the different kinds of breeds. There are some very large, like you think the Flemish large rabbits that are just huge, and those are always really neat to see. But for us, having these smaller Dutch size rabbits are good for us to be able to take out to programs.
And they chew on everything, right? Because their teeth are constantly growing and they're trying to like file them down. Is that a true fact?
It is. So you have to provide them with things to chew on. Again, we talked about them being high maintenance, and that is one thing. You do need to provide them with wood or something like that to kind of file down those teeth. And you talked about them free roaming in houses, and I know people who have them as pets that roam around. They love cords, so you do not want to have any kind of cords that are available that these guys, they will chew through them very quickly.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for bringing Loki. This is such a cute rabbit, and I feel like a perfect tie-in with the zoo and the zoo events. I know, Ricky, you're standing by. If you want to come, you can come and pet the rabbit too, since you guys are neighbors and friends. Well, coming up tomorrow on ciLiving, we have the Hoopston Animal Rescue here. So if you do happen to be looking for an animal that needs a forever home, we have 2 cats that are going to be up for adoption. Also, Floor Covering International will be here, and the Andrews Family Magic will be performing, but not just the magician. It is truly a family affair. It is man, it is woman, and it is going to be magical. Well, that is all here on ciLiving tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at 3 p.m.